Welcome to NFL World, where NFL starts and ends. I'm your host, Jacob, and the NFL franchise tag deadline is today, actually at 4 o'clock, in which there's a good running backs that haven't been signed yet. Saquon Barkley has come out and said that if he's not signed to a long-term deal, that his Week 1 status could be in question. Tony Pollard and the Cowboys, it seemingly won't go and have a long-term deal. He'll just play on his franchise tag, and then maybe he'll feel like he can get more next year. Josh Jacobs, he hasn't said much of anything either. So it's kind of just we're in a very interesting position of running backs aren't getting a lot of money on the open market. And when they are getting paid, it's like $6 million each. It's nothing like the quarterback position or the tight end position or the wide receiver position. This was written at 10:30 last night. Jeremy Fowler went and said the Cowboys are not expected to reach a long-term deal with Tony Pollard. Now, he does say that Tony Pollard, a long-term deal, because a long-term deal would be a 3-year deal. Maybe the Cowboys say, okay, 2 years. 2 years. Or we'll just have a 1-year extension off this tag. Since you already signed it, it would act like a 2-year. In fact, among all the 31 non-quarterbacks with at least 500 touches, Tony Pollard had 5.7 yards a touch, which is third behind Christian McCaffrey and Austin Eckler. So his number, like he's gonna make about $10.15 million this year, or $10.1 million. So not terrible, but I think in the case if even Josh Jacobs led the league in rushing, Saquon Barkley, you know how valuable he is to the Giants. There are some things that there is a possibility that Josh Jacobs gets traded. There is a possibility that Saquon Barkley does not play. But I think, and Saquon has talked about this, that it's not what the money is. It's what the tag represents of we're not getting paid for the long term, which running backs, you don't play very long. You maybe play 4 or 5 years and then you're out. You're not going to see, at least for a while now, a long-term second or even third contract with running backs. You just won't see it. Adrian Peterson and Frank Gore made their careers because of those contracts. And when they got older, they were signing 1-year contracts or 2-year contracts, but that was it. To me, that's the reason why that there's no long-term contracts is because players, the running back position is so much of an afterthought. We don't even consider it. Like Le'Veon Bell was talking about, and he was apologizing to the Steelers fans, saying he shouldn't have left. He sat out the 2018 season when he was signed to the franchise tag for, I believe, the second time. And then Bell admitted he should have never left. This came just recently. He said, I should have never left the Steelers. He said, I never apologized to the Steelers fans for sitting out or leaving. I never apologized for I want to say I apologize for leaving the best fans in the world. I shouldn't have left. I apologize. I shouldn't have left. I apologize. That's my fault. That's on me. I think what he sees now, what Bell sees now is I signed a contract with the Jets. It was a 4-year deal, 52.5 million, 35 million guaranteed. That contract won't be sustained anymore. In terms of guys aren't going to make that kind of money at the running back position for a while. You can understand. And obviously, he didn't have much success in New York, and he kind of bounced around, and there was no success really anywhere else besides Pittsburgh. So It didn't work for Le'Veon Bell, but he got paid. For Jacobs, for Pollard, and even for Barkley, that's not been the case. They haven't been paid yet. Well, Pollard signed the franchise tag, so technically, but Jacobs and Saquon have said, "No, I am either not reporting to camp or I'm not starting the year on the franchise tag. Figure it out." And this was leaked last week, I believe on Friday. A report from an anonymous source said that the Giants offered Saquon Barkley $19 million. Now, I use the term anonymous because it's more than likely that either a Giants front office member or someone that works with the Giants said that in order to make the country go and say, well, he was offered $19 million and he chose not to take it, which Saquon tweeted back two emojis of the blue caps, basically saying, "No, that's a cap. I didn't say anything. I never got that deal." They are saying that, but that's not what happened, which happens all the time. It happens to every team. That every time they do that, they try and make sure, how far can I get this to go? So the likelihood of Saquon probably not starting the year, or even Josh Jacobs not playing on a franchise tag, it seems like there's going to be a more dire straits in years to come. But for right now, those are the two that they're not too thrilled about not having a long term deal at this point. Now, if they do, we will bring it to you. The one guy who did sign a contract was Jags' Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram got franchise tagged. He signed a 3-year deal. I just want to make sure I have all the statistics right. 3 years, $41.25 million contract signed the day before the deadline. Now, it's 24 million guaranteed, but you have to understand, he signed the contract, but he also had the tag. So the tag actually acts as an extra year. So basically, it's a 2-year deal instead of a 3. He was making $11.35 million on the franchise tag. Right now, with his new contract, he's gonna make $13.8 million, which makes him the 6th highest tight end, behind Mark Andrews at $14 million per year. And so it's not a bad deal. Evan Engram had a good year. He fit in Jacksonville, what they wanted to do. It's gonna be interesting to see, now he's paid, what else can he do? Next up, we have DeAndre Hopkins. Now Hopkins signed with the Tennessee Titans, 2-year deal, $26 million a year, and in his first year, he can he's making, I believe, 12 to 13 million, but could be put up to 15 million. It's worth up to 32 million in incentives. Hopkins can earn 3 million in incentives each year, with up to 1 million in bonuses on his total number of receptions, yards, and touchdowns. And they go into detail of how he could make his $1 million. $250,000 for 65 receptions, 500,000 for 75 receptions, 750,000 for 85 receptions, and 1 million if he reaches 95 receptions. 250 for 750 receiving yards, 500,000 for 850 yards, $750,000 for 950 yards, and $1 million if he gets to 1,050 yards. And then 250,000 for reaching for 4 touchdowns, 500,000 for 6 touchdowns, 750,000 for 8, and $1 million for 10 touchdowns. This was a great job by the Titans. They needed a weapon after losing A.J. Brown. Their offense just didn't look the same. I will say this, though, the likelihood of him being he'll easily be their best wide receiver. Will he get 1,000 yards? I don't know, because the Titans, for whatever reason, they tend to run the ball so much, and I saw this tweet earlier. He's gonna be the second t wide receiver who goes to the Titans and have no success because the quarterback is average at best. I don't fully agree with that, but I'm also wouldn't be surprised if that happens either. And finally, Aaron Rodgers and the Jets on Hard Knocks for the upcoming year. Now, Hard Knocks will officially start taping on Wednesday the 19th. It goes on and says HBO and NFL Films will debut their 5-episode 2023 season of Hard Knocks on Tuesday, August 8th from 10 to 11 p.m. It goes on saying it will be on HBO and the Max streaming service. It will air on Tuesdays at 10 p.m. and the final episode will be set on September the 5th, 2 days before the NFL regular season starts between the Chiefs and the Lions. Saleh and a bunch of other Jet players, team advisors, I guess you can call them, expressed they had no interest in welcoming Hard Knocks. But the Jets were one of the 4 teams eligible to the selected requirements, which excludes that if you have a team with a first-year head coach and recent playoff contenders. New York also pushed back against a potential selection of privacy, but the NFL did not have an abundance of alternatives. They go on and said the Bears, the Saints, and the Commanders were also teams that were eligible, but that they didn't want to do. The teams decided no against that. The Lions were also asked as the NFL approached them, and the Lions said no. And then they go on and on about how this could work. The trick is there's only been a couple teams who've gone on Hard Knocks that have made playoff runs or have made it to the Cowboys are the most recent team to do that. The other team don't. So you can understand that side of it. Other side is coaches and players feel that it's a distraction. And to me, I understand that because we can't say everything we want to say because we're afraid it gets caught on camera. We can't we're not in control. We're afraid that some of these players act up for the camera and are not themselves. Because what if they try and do something crazy and then all of a sudden they blow their knee out because they were trying to do something crazy? You can understand why teams say, no, no, we don't want to do it. Where before, and I think the reason is that is social media. All these teams have social media groups a part of their team, so they already feel like their life is already pretty public outside of we are the quarterback of such and such team, or we are the head coach of such and such team. Why? I also want to know why the Denver Broncos were not questioned. That would have been interesting to see what I get it because Sean Payton's a first-year head coach, but at the same time, like, that would've been interesting. But also, could you imagine it be anyone but the Jets? It had to be the Jets. They were the only ones. The Everyone would've been like, "Yeah, I wanna see what's going on there." I understand that Rodgers and a lot of these players aren't too pleased, as Rodgers is has said that they forced it down our throats, which that's a very strange way of putting it. And he's like, "I've been on in the NFL for 18 years, but I've never been on Hard Knocks." They go on about that we had to deal with the whole situation. And Rodgers continues and says, "I understand the appeal with us. Obviously, there's a lot of eyes on me, a lot of eyes on our team, and a lot of expectations for our squad. One of the only things I like about Hard Knocks is the voice of God, the man who narrates it. Lee, I hope I get to meet him." Basically, he's saying, "I do like the narration of it. However, I just don't it does create a distraction and something we chose we didn't wanna do, and yet the NFL said, 'No, too bad you're doing it anyway.'" So, Hard Knocks, we start recording in the 19th of July, July, and if I'm trying to make sure I have the date right. There we go. Trying to make sure I have the date right. 10 11 o'clock on Tuesdays, August 8th. I just wanna make sure it's 100% right, which it's a little later, but also this Hard Knocks will be more interesting than it has been in recent years, and we'll get to see Aaron Rodgers and his new team. But what do you guys think? How do you think Hard Knocks is gonna go? Is it gonna be really good, or is it gonna be a dud? For NFL World, I'm Jacob Hubert, out.